Hi everyone, my name is Anissa,
I'm Kim.
I'm Alex.
and our project is titled, Do you know the actual cost of your medications? We designed a visualization that combines storytelling with an interactive exploration. And regarding our target audience, our project is for political organizers in the pharmaceutical reform space so they can distribute this information to the general public to motivate them to get involved and take action to help move the system towards fairer pricing. A 2023 study revealed that a person is expected to take prescription medications for about half of their life. Here you can select from a list of the most common drugs to learn more about its price. In America, the use of prescription drugs is increasing, and everyone seems to agree that the current costs are way too high. These are some of the recent headlines discussing this issue. So this brings us to the question, are prices increasing, or does it just feel that way? As seen here, between 2017 and 2025, more prices decreased instead of increased. But if we look at the actual price amount these drugs increased or decreased by, it looks different. However, the total cost increase is much larger than the total cost decrease. So drug prices are getting worse. Here you can see that this drug is even outpacing inflation. And through this drop-down menu, you can also explore other drugs.
So, what causes drug prices to be so high? It's hard to know because there's so many factors at play, but we're breaking it down into developmental costs, which is what goes into producing the drug that drug companies feel like they need to recoup, and systemic factors. So, if we look at developmental costs, prices remain relatively stable across different dosages of the same drug. So, even though the patient is paying less per milligram for higher dosages, the prices remain relatively constant. And then if we look at the form, like capsule or tablet, that also has very little effect across different versions of the same medication. But form plays a much bigger role across different drug classes. By far, the most expensive form of drug delivery is injection, then followed by inhalation and delayed or extended release tablets. This implies that exclusivity or proprietary technology is the driving factor in what actually makes a drug production more expensive. But then, if we look at systemic factors, those play a much larger role. Drugs are developed, priced, and distributed by profit-driven companies. So, what impact does this have that drugs are so expensive? People end up splitting pills or skipping doses to try and make drugs last longer. 3 in 10 adults report not taking their medication as prescribed, which can be a risk to their health or even their life. So, what can we do and how do we fix this?
Personally, you can choose generic drugs. As this tool shows, generics are far, far cheaper than brand drugs for a chemically equivalent product. More affordable drugs means less medicine rationing. But not all drugs have a generic, and some brand drugs without generics are ridiculously expensive. So, what can we do? Policy change. The American Rescue Plan Act passed in 2021, for instance, pushed for lower drug prices. What impact did that have? Here we selected 300 random drugs. Using the slider, we can filter this down for a key set of drugs whose price dropped between 2023 and 2025. These are drugs that became dramatically more affordable as a result of this legislation. Note, this is a logarithmic graph. Some of these drugs got nearly 10 times cheaper from this legislation. So, to support legislation like this, you can get involved by reaching out to and supporting groups like Truth in RX and 2025 State Tracker. Finally, here you can use the tool that we use to search through these drugs yourself. You can search through a few thousand drugs on the right-hand side and compare their price history, as well as filter by the form that the drug takes on the right and visually on the top bar. We hope that this narrative and the associated tools have been educational and insightful. Thanks so much.